Namaste, and wishing you all a very happy Vinayaka Chaturthi for tomorrow. Hello, everyone. I want to make my greetings as vibrant as possible because I feel so good to be back in this space after so long. What have you all been doing the last 3-4 months? As far as me, I have had a trip to the US, a spring tour of concerts. And after the concerts, I was able to spend some time with family and friends. I felt really wonderful being in live concerts after a long break. And now, in the hope that we have put the pandemic behind us, I'm sure all of you are as excited as me. While caution should continue to prevail, I see ahead a beautiful path heading to newer areas, touching newer horizons, newer opportunities. All these have risen out of learnings and lessons of what we went through in varied degrees over the last 2 years, or probably a little more. Need I say or elaborate how much music has helped in healing and how much we musicians gave our very best in different forms, different modules, to keep everyone's spirits up during tough times? In my many conversations with my fraternity, it has been so fulfilling to know how each one has done their bit, and we are all overwhelmed at the appreciation and gratitude that we have received in abundance from our dear Rasikas. So now, coming back to my favorite concept that held me in good stead and made each experience and the associated celebrity guest enjoyable. Here I am once again with all of you today. Expressions Espresso. The last episode in April had us interacting with the Subramaniam siblings, who kept the whole hour lively and engaging with their many anecdotes, and of course, talking about their parents, talking about their performances and collaborations. Thank you, Bindu and Ambi, for being with us and giving us those beautiful moments. Today, we are going to be in chat with another duo. Sons of veteran Mridangam Vidwan, Shri Trichur Mohan. They were exposed to Carnatic music very early in life, and their father also trained them in Laya aspects. They learned under many stalwart gurus such as Madurai Smt, Balamani Eswar, Shri Thamarakkadu Govindan Namboothiri, late Professor Neyyattinakara Mohanachandran, and Padma Bhushan awardee, late Sri P.S. Narayanaswami. Known for their Bhavam and Pataanthara, they also adopt a unique style of raga delineation, where both exchange phrases, long and short, in exploring the nuances of a raga. Many well-known critics have pointed out that this is a very unique and effective way of raga handling that has hitherto not been attempted in duo singing. They have had many noteworthy global collaborations and also believe that music is among one of the most effective tools to spread social awareness, for which they have been involved in some interesting projects. They founded a school in the year 2017 to cater to and mold students worldwide in pursuit of musical excellence. Apart from music, they are very involved with current affairs and are great sports enthusiasts, enjoying cricket in specific. They love meeting people, and I'm sure with their music and their chilled attitude, they bring about a lot of smiles all the time. Both of them are qualified chartered accountants who chose to quit their corporate jobs in 2014 to be full-time musicians. Doesn't this speak volumes of their passion and commitment to Carnatic music? It is my pleasure, great pleasure, to welcome the Trichur Brothers, Sri Krishna and Ram Kumar, to the third episode of Season 5 of Expressions Espresso.
Hey, namaskaram, namaskaram, namaskaram.
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 RK,
it's wonderful.
Namaskaram.
Yeah, RK, SK doesn't matter. So it's amazing to be here, and I loved the intro. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. We try our best.
Namaskaram, everybody, and namaskaram, Sudhaji. So, absolute pleasure. We've been watching, apart from, like we were talking to you some time back, apart from listening to a lot of your music since we were kids, the conversations that you have is something that we do follow. So much to learn, so much to understand. So, thanks a lot for, doing this show for the benefit of not just connoisseurs of music, but also musicians.
Thank you. So, நேர பார்க்கறச்சே எப்போது நம்ம வந்து ஒரு சால்வையை போத்துவோம், இல்லை ஒரு பொக்கே கொடுப்போம். So, ஒரு சின்ன line, just a line from 2 songs that you like. Kamala Sati Mukha Kamala Kamala Hita Kamala Priya Kamalekshana Kamala Sati Mukha Kamala Kamala Hita Kamala Priya Kamalekshana Kamalasana Hita Garuda Gamana Shri Kamalanabhani Pada Kamalame Saradu Srimanarayana Om Namo Narayana Om Namo Narayana என்று உள்ளம் முருக உரைத்திடும் ஓம் நமோ நாராயணா நாராயணா especially for you.
Thank you so much. I should tell you, this brings back floods of memories. I'm sure Ram Kumar was also thinking about the same thing. So Sriman Narayana happens much before our morning coffee. I'm talking about 20 years ago. And it's amazing, Sudhaji, that your voice is just the same. As singers, we cannot help being amazed at that. Sri Ramajayam. And also, Om Namo Narayana, it's very interesting that the two of us learned this song after my grandmother listened to you. And she said, hey, the 3 of us have to learn this together. And with our grandmother, we learned this Kirtanam.
So Thank you for being a family that, appreciates classical music. It's so rare that...
We just turned 6 and 8 respectively once again, because like we were mentioning, this is the song that we normally wake up to. So the routine, I believe this used to play on Vijay TV. So yes. when we wake up in the morning, mom used to switch on the TV, put it in full volume, and then go. And we were out there especially to listen to the song. So thanks a lot for bringing back the nostalgia.
Thank you, SK and RK. I think you have to sing now, because usually I ask the guests to, hum or sing something at the end, but you have to usher in Vinayaka Chaturthi.
Right, Ramkumar, can we sing the first stanza of the Pulyar Chatur? I mean the Pancharatnam.
Yeah, we'll have to do line by line because technology needs to get better for sibling guests as yet.
Yes.
So Ramkumar, why don't you start?
I'm just gonna.
We're doing just the first stanza, right? First stanza matundane.
Yeah.
I'm sure your Rasikas would love to listen to you.
Ramkumar, Shruti reference is good. You can turn it off because it'll. I'm not sure if it picks up well. So.
Mudakaratmodakam sada vimukti sadakam
kaladharavatam sakam vilasino karakshakam
anayakaikanayakam vinashite badaityakam
natashubhashunashakam namamitam vinayakam.
Let's pray that the Lord, who is supposed to be the Lord who removes all obstacles, take away this uncertainty and anxiety from the world, from the minds of all people, and bring us all back in unison to a normalcy. And of course, us musicians to a live, exciting, different venues, right? That's what we all want.
Absolutely.
So now to the questions. To both of you, you can answer in whichever order you want. Your first guru was your father, Shri Trichur R. Mohan. What was his style of teaching? And did you both, at any point of time, feel pressurized to fall in line with the demands of the family tradition? Or did you have a choice in taking your own choice?
Can I take that, Ramkumar? One thing about Appa is that he still believes and has always believed in the fact that imbibing an art form is far more important than learning an art form. So he would always say, the environment has to be such that you guys automatically imbibe the art. And so to be very honest, in the last 30 years or so, very rarely have we sat across the table and, he has taught us something and we've jotted it down and learned and all that. It's more about how the environment is created in the house. So I think from the day we were born, we've been exposed to a lot of stalwarts through the stereo system in the house. So whether we knew or not, we listened to a lot of music right from the day we were born, and I'm sure even whilst we were in our mother's womb, so that's his style of teaching. And as a person, he never brought to the forefront the fact that music could become our profession one day. That was never discussed, never, to be very honest. And it was always about highlighting the spiritual aspects of our great art form and about the fact that one has to enjoy. And he would always say, Nada yoga is the easiest way. And this is the best path that's available for the two of you. And it was much later that we thought about, should we take this up as a profession and all that. So I don't think there was any sort of pressure. If at all, there was pressure on him, because the two of us would always say, hey, you know what, should we go to school? We would rather sit down at home and sing. So, so I think there was a lot of pressure on him to see that, we somehow get into this field. And one more thing is, our first guru is in fact our mother. And correct. She got us to sing Sapasa. And of course, it comes in that order, Mata, Pita. So Appa, in fact, took it up from there. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
I think also I don't think Dad really knew until we actually came home, finished our CAs, and told him that the results have come. We are chartered accountants, that we were even doing CA, to be honest. So his style of parenting, I believe, it also has got to do with the fact that he is the first generation musician in the family. So our family is traditionally a business family hailing out of Kerala, and so because of the fact that our grandfather was a connoisseur of music, he used to organize a lot of concerts. There were a lot of stalwarts who used to stay at home, and by virtue of the fact that Guruvayur was about 30 minutes, any musician who wanted to visit Guruvayur would basically camp at home and spend time there. There have been times where Shamugudi Mama has been there and KVN Mama has been there. So sometimes we wake up early in the morning and we used to listen to a soft hum, and we used to notice it was actually Shamugudi Mama doing his early voice culture before he even got out of bed. So I think the atmosphere was, or the ambiance was always there. With respect to Dad, I think he's never, even today when we go for a concert and come back, even if we specifically ask him, how did you like this particular thing that we did, he's always like, concert is done, live experience is done, it was beautiful, just leave it, let's move on to the next one. That's always been the style of parenting as well as
to the extent, we sometimes find it very difficult to get his frank opinion about how the concert actually happens. So,
very easygoing, I guess.
Absolutely.
But then it's always good in a way to also discuss the concert, so that in case he, as a senior, has something to guide you all towards. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So what he does is generally he waits for a couple of days and then brings it up. And it kind of, we kind of understand why he did that, especially in the first few years, because he didn't want to make us conscious about our mistakes. So yes.
Nice. I like that. Instead of, saying, "Achu, on the Rasika prayer, apdi paadi irukla, laid back attitude is very nice.
So absolutely laid back.
Music, yeah, with your academics side by side. Did this aspect come in the way of your practice and learning music and improving your repertoire? So how did you manage this balancing? Usually they all ask me, how did you manage the balance of home and profession? Now I'm going to ask you, how did you manage profession and your academics?
So see, one of the reasons why we even did chartered accountancy was, the fact that, number one, we used to say this jovially, but there is a lot of truth in the fact that CA is never a predictable course. So even if you put in a little bit of effort and you finally don't get through, it's not like anybody's going to come and tell you, hey, you know what, you didn't get through CA, because I think 95% of people don't get through. So that's reason number one. We didn't have to have any commitment. It was like coolly going in there, studying whatever is possible, write the exam, and this old saying in Tamil, Vanda malla pona nulu solra mari. That was the attitude that was there for CA. The second thing is, I think CA was the one course that gave us the flexibility of deciding what our own study times was. So, sometimes we used to study for 14 hours one particular day, and the next day used to be completely focusing on music. I don't know if Sri Krishna did. Sri Krishna is the kind
who do 14 hours. I've never seen you do 14 hours of studies.
I did. I swear I did. You will, don't make me tell them the story of how you came begging to know about branch accounts at midnight.
Move on, brother.
Peace.
So there were a few days where we had to study so much to simply get through the portions. But when our gurus used to come home, it used to be completely focused on music. Neyyattinakara Mohanachandran sir used to spend 14 to 15 hours in classes. And that, because we wanted a break, he would have gone on for the next 5-6 hours as well. Mm-hmm. So I think it complemented each other in the fact that learning music took our focus away from studies when we were not studying, thereby giving us that focus, understanding of what is important, making it a little more easygoing, which we think is very important to do a course like CA. And the other way around, once we finished CA, we understood how important it was to have, a go-to qualification or a go-to academic qualification at that point of time to pursue our music more seriously without having the pressures of day-to-day life.
So, Krishna, you had many gurus. So now I'm going to ask you a very sensitive question. Of course, this can be categorized as. Now we learn different things from different gurus. So are you still holding on to all of it, or is one particular aspect predominant in your style of singing?
Right. So, in fact, we would also like to mention that currently we are, somehow we missed that out in our CV that we shared with you. We are currently learning from Shri Ragunathan sir, who's based out of Kerala. And I will answer that question in a different manner. So what I've found with our gurus is that every single guru we've learned from, starting from Balamani teacher all the way up to Raju sir today, they all have extremely unique methods of training. At the same time, one aspect where the two of us are very, very fortunate is that they all have one thing in common, which is they gave us tremendous freedom. They never ever boxed us and said this is how you have to do things. Never. So that I think is a great blessing, which allowed us to explore so many different forms of music, be it Hindustani, be it Western, be it singing ragas, where the two of us try and get into harmony singing. So there was never a word from our guru saying, hey, you know what, this is not allowed. At the same time, they knew where to draw the line. And a small example is when once we asked P.S. Narayanaswami sir, sir, last kachirla Vrindavana saranga ragam thanam pallavi paadu. And then somebody came and asked us, is it Vrindavani or Vrindavana saranga? And at that point of time, we did not have the theoretical answer for that. So we were expecting some lesson from PS sir when we asked this question. And we were amazed. He was like, he just patted us on the shoulder. Summa paadungappa, edukuppa ivola kavalapadreenga. Just go and sing. It doesn't matter. You enjoy yourself. So that was, an eye opener, because here he was talking about an expression from the inner self, which is beyond the tenets of rules. At the same time, we do hold on to one thing very strongly from all our gurus, which is their focus on the foundation. So one of our gurus, Shri Govindan Namboothiri sir, in fact, he changed our approach to music big time. Because until that point of time, we learned music, we enjoyed music, but then his class, it happened sometime when we were just getting into our teens, and his classes would begin at 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. Wow. And that's the first time we experienced it. And we were like, oh my God, 4 a.m. in the morning, it's going to be a little tough and all that. But believe me, and he made us sing only Sarigama Padanisa for 2 hours. He would ask us to sing each note for 2 avartanas, and gradually reduce the speed to 1 avartana, half avartana, and so on and so forth. By the time we finished the entire exercise with Akara, and especially in Trichur, we had the class in our terrace, the roofed terrace, and it was during the monsoons, and the rains were in full fury. And morning, the rains are there, early morning, and just the tampura with our guru. Then there was no looking back after that. We said, this is what we are born for. So that's...
You've been good kids. Waking up at 4 is something that I can't imagine. Only to catch flights do I wake up at 4. So Ramkumar, both of you were given the title Trichur Brothers by Periva. How and when did this incident happen?
Right. So, so the way we grew up is in a typical village in Kerala. It's called the Pushpagiri Agraharam. So everybody in that village was related one way or the other. So right from our childhood, we could just, run through the village, get into some house, have our dinner and come out. That was the kind of ease with which we lived. And our grandfather and 4 of his brothers. So one of the brothers is in Cochin, but the remaining, my grandfather and the other 3, they had houses opposite each other. So when Jayendra Periva used to visit Trichur, after his temple visit and all that, he used to come back and give darshan to all the people who've gathered there. And at that point of time, because we were just next house, he'd basically send one of his disciples and he'll say, Sangeeta Mummurtigala call padan, one the Padasudha. this early. So me, Sri Krishna and Appa used to go there and sing all these kritis for the next 1.5, 2 hours. And Periva used to sing along with us, sometimes stop us in between to explain the meaning of a particular phrase, etc. So from Sangeeta Mumurthigal, one day as the two of us were singing, he kind of started calling us as Trichur Brothers. So he said, Trichur Brothers enga vandu paada sollu, Trichur Brothers enga vandu paada sollu. In the Mari, he was starting to refer to us. So from that point of time on, that stuck to be the name that we started using in the professional circle. So that's how it came across.
Well, in fact, during that time, I just add this to the story. That was when, one of our relatives, his name was NKT Muthu. He is pretty popular. He's known as Viravendan NKT Muthu Mama, and he's very famous in the social circles. So he's also related to us. And Periva just called him and said, these two boys, make sure that they are exposed in Chennai. And for him, that was Vedavaka. Within a year, I think within a few months, he actually arranged a huge event in Chennai, and it was in many ways the launch of us in Chennai for the very first time. It's all thanks to his blessings.
So Namami Gange, tell us about how it came about and your involvement in this project.
Well, it's an event that has completely changed our lives, and it all started with Prime Minister's address in the US after he was elected, and we were just sitting there and listening to him, and he was going completely gaga about Ganga. He said, this is our national river, and we need to clean it up. Come what may, we need to clean it up. And for all of us South Indians who only heard about Ganga from our parties and our parents, and every Diwali day they ask us Ganga Snanamacha. So when he spoke about Ganga, that was definitely an instinct. And the best thing is it happened spontaneously for the two of us. I was going to ask Ramkumar, shouldn't we, do something? And immediately he was also looking at me with the same intention, I'm sure. And then we met up with a friend, Prashant, and it is so miraculous. When things are meant to happen, it just happens, right? So we sat there and we were like, okay, how do we start this? How do we do a song? And I just searched. I didn't know at that point of time there is Ganga Ashtagam by Adi Shankaracharya, but I was sure Adi Shankaracharya must have written something about Ganga. And I just searched and the Ganga Ashtagam popped up. And here are the lines, Bhagavati Tavati Re Niramatra Shanoham. And we just said, okay, fine, this is the line, it's amazing. What about a tune which goes Bhagavati Tavati Re Niramatra Shanoham Vigata Vishaya Krishna Krishna Maradayami. And it just fell in place. It's as if this was composed for our anthem. Obviously that's what we would think, right? And it just fell in place, and it's a long story. To put it in a nutshell, we wrote to the Prime Minister's office. We just did a rough recording of the song, sent it to the PMO, and we were amazed that they took action within a week. They called us to Delhi. We had a meeting, and the rest is history. As far as we are concerned, it's just an unbelievable moment in our life.
So in fact, just to add to that, I think we initially came up with the tune, and when we came up with the lyrics at that point of time, it sat in perfectly for the tune that we had. And it wasn't until the whole composition was done that we actually knew there was even a change of beat in terms of it goes with the initial part goes 4/4, and then it moves to a 7 beat where it goes to the Prasida, which means the B please. So to complete it goes Sakala Kalusha Bange Swarga Sopana Sange Tarala Tara Tarange Devi Gange Prasida. That's the way it goes. So from there it moved on to a 7/8, and obviously Namami Gange was the name of the movement. So we were thinking about to connect the people with that movement. We needed something. So the tune for Namami Gange came in, and I think in a span of about 30 to 45 minutes, the entire tune was already done. So that's how it kind of came up.
So how does Namami Gange go?
So 1, 2, 3. Let's take turns, okay?
Go ahead. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1. Namami Gange, Namami Gange,
Nami Gange, Namami Gange. So it's a year and a half of once the project began and started taking shape, the whole thing, the whole composition, the videography, etc., took 2 years. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So for us, it was a learning experience from every sphere, because this was the first time we got into such a massive production with collaborations with so many different artists. And truly, we were exposed to our, this amazing city called Chennai, where musicians, you cannot find such musicians across the world, because the song was composed and we said, this is what we want. We had lined up 30 musicians who could come and do it in a twice, so we realized, how massive this city is in terms of quality of music that the city can offer. And also working with different bureaucrats, working with the government. I think Ramkumar is better positioned to help with that. I don't know.
I mean, again, to cut a long story short, it's been a huge learning experience. And that is where, having worked in a company like KPMG or Pricewaterhouse for that matter, came in handy. So the scripting was done in about a month and a half. And we had one of our close friends, Deepika Chandrasekharan, who came on board as the director for the project. Prashant Techno was in as the music producer and arranger. And we had Vedant Bharadwaj, who came in with brilliant ideas on some of the harmonies, etc. So all the musicians and technical crew who've been part of this have actually lived the dream along with us. We were on the banks of Ganga for literally 45 to 50 days. Yes, we traveled all the way to the top, to the source of Ganga, which is Gaumukh. And that is like a 13 to 14 hours trek where we have to break in between at about roughly 10,000 to 12,000 feet. And then the topmost was about 14,000 feet. So by that time you get there, and because the whole project was done in a hurry, we didn't even really have that much time to acclimatize. So at about 12,000, your body just refuses to stop accepting any food. So you even have a piece of dry fruit, it just comes out. So that was what the whole experience was like. But like they say, once you've been to a mountain and you've been a part of this, in spite of the hardships, the minute you're back, you again want to go there. So that's been a dream for us to, the next time go without a technical crew, go without the pressure of handling production budgets and crew and food and all this. So I mean, that's a huge story.
In fact, we, having never been to that side of the country before, Uttarakhand, for the very first time in our lives, we saw an extremely different India. Sadhus everywhere. And we had this gear. A lot of gear we bought from Chennai. We did 2 days purchase. We had specific shoes made, specific gloves made, etc. Lanterns on our head. We were like completely decked up, and we climb, huffing and puffing. We climb up and we just sit down there. There is this 75-year-old sadhu, barefooted and running to the top. And he's saying, we asked Maharaj, where are you going? He said, no, I'm heading to the top, to the source of the Ganga, Gomukh. And we said, like, fine. So what about coming back here and having some rest? He said, Are, what rest? I have to go back to Rameshwaram all the way. I have to walk to Rameshwaram. I have to use this water to pour it on the Shivalingam. We were like, truly humbling.
And I think, I also think the people around, so some of these experiences that we've had. So I still remember the first stop was the vehicles will go up to Gangotri, which is at about 10,000 feet. So we just checked into a hotel there, which was the best hotel that was available. So I go in there, and it's these typical hotels where you don't have a running geyser or anything. So you have to call the guys and ask them for some hot water. And it is rationed out. So they'll say, sir, only one bucket I can give you. So I said, when we tell them, no, but we can pay you for that. So they say, it's not the question of payment. You can just have one bucket. Okay, sir. Then we've just moved on. So as we go to sleep in the night, I just sit on the bed and it is hard as a rock. All right. So I was like, okay, how am I going to sleep here? But we somehow, had a night's quick rest. And the next day, we started trekking. 5 days later, we come back to Gangotri. We go into the same hotel, the same bed. And that is the best sleep I've ever had in my life so far. So suddenly it was like the beds don't matter. It's so comfortable. And that is the best sleep I've had. I remember just sitting, lying down on the bed, and that's all I remember. So
the entire me including the entire crew was waiting for him for at least 1 hour for him to get up and come out. So I understand what he says.
Nami Gange has been a real experience.
Yes,
it's lifetime experience.
So just to complete that story, I'll just add one more point. So it was also our experience of, it was the first time we were scripting the entire thing. So we had it in our mind that sometimes when we go to the US, when we talk about Ganga in general, the first question that comes out is, why is Ganga so dirty? So when we actually trek this entire part, we find that the problem areas are limited to certain cities like Kanpur, Varanasi, etc., which is much more of an urban development problem rather than a river handling problem itself. So we then decided that the whole working on the stanzas itself will be in such a way that the younger generation first needs to be told, hey, Ganga is not all about, you're talking about 20 to 30% of the river. The remaining 70% is such that you can basically take water from that and directly drink, and that's the best water you would have tasted in your life. So that's why the first stanza, for the glory of the Ganga, who better to define it than Adi Shankara himself. So that began in Sanskrit. The second and the third stanza is actually in Hindi, for which we got a lyricist who writes for Bollywood by name Vayu Srivastava. So he penned the lyrics for the second and the third stanza, with the second stanza talking about why Ganga is important for biodiversity, for economic development, for the riverways, for agriculture, etc. And the last stanza talks about the oath that we are taking, where it says that Mana hai tujhe ma, ye dharam hai mera, main tujhe tera wo samman tu. Is how the whole anthem ends. And so, yes, like about this project, we can just keep going on and on.
Just one more thing to add. I promise we'll move on.
Ganga has become the center stage of our now conversation.
Absolutely. You know what? Ever since this anthem has come about, we are truly blessed that for every single event that the National Mission for Clean Ganga does, they play this anthem first before anything. So it's a huge honor for us, and we are extremely happy to be, ambassadors for this great cause in our own humble way. Absolutely.
Certainly. It's very heartening to understand that both of you believe that music is one of the most effective tools to spread social awareness. So you did a music video called Vande Bharatambe as a tribute to the Indian Armed Forces. For me, Samudaya Foundation, which I am the managing trustee of, the triggering point was the Kargil War in 1999. So I see a likeness in our thought process. So how did you get that tribute around?
So, it probably dates back from our school days, because we did our schooling at Harishri Vidyanidhi, based out of Trichur. And our principal, Naranayaswami ma'am, is a war widow. And she inculcates a lot of patriotism in any student that walks into that school. So definitely she is a major contributor for even this thought to have come to us. Number one. Number two is also that, there were days when we felt that, India as a country, we've got very, very strange neighbors. So we've got the security, the army professional protect the border security force protecting us 24/7, and some of these places where they actually, position themselves is just unimaginable. And for them to do this day in and day out, not think about their families, but put our safety in front of them. I think as a country, honestly, I feel we've not given them their due in terms of the hero worship that we do in this country. a lot of, I mean, I'm not taking away anything else from people who have shown in other fields, but these guys are true heroes, and I mean, and for Ramkumar and I, music is the only language we know. So there is that we had to do something, and this composition which we have learned from Raju Narayan sir, Vande Bharatambe, is a beautiful composition, and Ramkumar, B. Sashikumar ji has composed it, right?
Yes, it is composed by B. Shashikumar ji, who's a very senior violinist based out of Kerala. So we learned it, I think, as kids, we learned this Kriti, and we wanted to kind of put it in a slightly more contemporary fashion. So that's why the the contemporary elements of that music comes into the picture. And as for the visuals, because it was impossible for us to really go and videograph some of those visuals, we were in close association. We were working with the media department of the Indian Army. We explained to them what the whole purpose is, and we got those footages from them. Of course, some of the footages we had to go to certain areas in the north and get that canned, but to a great extent, these are footages that we got from the Indian Army, and that's how the whole thing came about. And that was launched by the Minister of State for Defense at that point of time, along with I think B.S. Dhanova, who was at that point of time the Navy Chief. And it was launched during one of the Army days in Delhi. And immediately after it was screened for the very first time, there are some very touching scenes in there. And, touching scenes of what the family of an army man goes through every time he gets, every time one of our brave army men get martyred. And that is, it's really heart-wrenching to see. So the minute we came after the projection of this particular video, we had so many people who came to us, especially family members who came to us and said that thanks a lot for creating something like this. So I think it's easily one of the most touching moments we've had in our.
So how does the song begin?
Vande Bharatambe Varadayike Paradevate Vande Bharatambe Varadayike Paradevate Vande Bharatambe. So it's a Mishra Chapa composition, and one of
Very
the
nice, Ragam. I mean, I would never have expected it to be Vyaktigam.
In fact, one of the cutest compliments we received on this song is from, if I remember well, Ramkumar, correct me if I'm wrong, is from singer Srinivas sir, who messaged Ramkumar on Facebook saying, "Hey, how did you guys manage to make the army guys march for Mishra Chapel?"
But that again has been, the edit. Though we got the visuals, I still remember we had to be on the edit table for close to 3 days continuously. So it starts at 8 o'clock, it goes on till 1:30 in the night. And for this, we worked with another friend of ours by name Avinash, who also does videography for quite a few movies and all that. So the trouble is, if it is a 4x4, it becomes very easy for you to communicate to them. So Avinash would be like, he'd place a couple of footages and I'll tell him, dude, I don't think that is right. This has to come on the beat. The army man has to put the foot down exactly when there's the beat. So then, beyond a point, Avinash, when we were sitting on the table, Avinash finally, slowly moved over the mouse to me. And he said, that particular part, you keep saying, I'm not understanding. Can you please place that footage properly and come back to me?
But it's a beautiful song. And could I request Ramkumar to sing the Chittaswaram? It's beautiful.
Sure.
So the Chittaswaram is also done like a Swaraksharam with Vande Bharatambe, so Ma. So the Chittaswaram goes Ma Gari Sagani Sagagama Damani Damazani Dama Gari Sagani Sagagama Damani Damazani Dama Gari Sagagama Nini Zani Damama Nini Sagagama Gari Zazani Damama Gari Zama Ma Gari Zazani Damama Gari Zani Ma Gari Zazani Damama Gari Zavante Bharatambe. That's the way it goes.
Lovely, lovely. So again and again, Ma, it's like, the country.
Yes.
For the country. So I'm thinking what to ask you next. Yes. TB awesome. Very, very, it's like a pun. It's so well, abbreviated. TBOSM. You launched the Trichur Brothers online school of music in 2017 to cater to and mold students worldwide. Tell us more about your students and what do you focus primarily on while you tutor? Also, I would like to add that when you teach online, do you find there is a shift in teaching methodology?
Yeah, so the school was started, primarily because a lot of queries came to us whether we would handle classes, and then we wanted to put this in an organized format. And for some reason, we thought online would be best suitable because no student can come and tell us that we got stuck in the traffic. That's why we got late and all that. If you're online, we'll catch you wherever you are. So we said, okay, let's do this online. And fortunately, we have a fantastic team of teachers who help us with this long cherished dream. The basic idea is to share what our gurus have taught us. Priceless lessons that they've taught us. Whatever we can share that we've learned from them is something we would like to do. And students, fortunately, again, Rama's grace. Now we've got students from across the world, from so many different countries, and we've got students from different age groups, different levels of learning. And Ramkumar, you want to talk about the whatever we do to adapt to the online format?
Yeah. So, like you rightly pointed out, we tell also our students that learning from Guru Mugam is something very different. With technology, the best we can do is try and mimic it to the extent possible. Regularity of classes is something online that we'll be able to handle without any issue, because like you rightly pointed out, because it's from the comfort of homes. And we also found that sometimes when we travel, especially to places like US, and when we stay with people, sometimes you find that the parents there have their day cut, their day cut out in such a way that they have to make at least 3 trips, and it's 45 minutes, 50 minutes away, wait there for the students to finish their classes, come back, and all that. So that was the funda behind why this was started in the first place. Online, what we do is, apart from the online classes, we try and make it a point. For example, when we go to the US and when we go to other places, we try and make it a point, even if it is Bangalore. When we have a concert, the next day we try to meet all our students and try and. So typically, when we go to Bangalore, if we have a concert, the next day we leave back from Bangalore only pretty late in the evening. So that we are able to get them on a physical class mode for about 4 to 5 hours, talk to each one of them, understand where the problem areas are, etc. And as a school, we focus, like Sri Krishna was mentioning, we've just tried to carry on what our gurus have taught us. So we give a lot of importance to basics, importance to voice culture, and both of us very strongly believe that Carnatic music, with its beautiful structure of how the basics are built up, once that is practiced properly, there's no further voice culture that is really required, because with we practice that every day and practice it in the spirit. So we keep telling the students that unlike academics, where, for example, I have a set of portions for my first standard, my second standard, and then I completely forget this and move on. In music, as you would obviously know, with more practice on the basics itself, we end up spending much lesser time in terms of learning. So we keep imbibing this into the student's mind right from the beginning. And every time somebody comes in, in discussions, when somebody comes and says Carnatic does not have the required voice culture, we just humbly disagree and tell them, probably you've not really, kind of investigated the capabilities that simply practicing the basics every morning for 1 hour can do to your voice. So this in all,
also, just to add to Ramkumar's points, and We also feel online teaching, with all the technology that's available today, this is the first time that the guru and the Shishya, once you have your headphones on, you're hearing them directly, inside your ears. So the slightest of mistakes can be picked up. So from those aspects, and the fact that you can record the class, you can revisit the class as many times as you want. You can even, if the class is slow, you can even forward it or, make it double speed or whatever. So I think technology is fantastic.
Yeah, I know. That's true. But I'm happy that you combine both online as well as you try and meet up with your students.
Absolutely.
Because that intimacy is very important, I feel. I used to watch MLV, how she would move when she sang the brigas, when she sang the speed, higher notes, அப்புறம் கீழே பாடுறது எப்படி மந்திரஸ்தாய் எப்படி பாடினா அப்புறம் சில சங்கதிகள்லாம் ரொம்ப காம்ப்ளிகேட்டடா இருக்கும் இல்லையா அது எப்படி பாடுறா என்ன மூவ்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் சீக் ஆர் எவ்வளவு ஸ்ட்ரெயின் முகத்துல தெரியுது everything you're able to watch every little movement when you watch the live. Yeah,
absolutely.
In fact, Bhushani Kalyan Raman Mami or Tarva Cleveland engo pogumbodhu she was mentioning that Tanjavur Kalyan Raman Mama vandu he had like a diary somewhere where he had written down, he had put down a picture of a human body, and he had basically marked points and said that if you're singing a Gandharam, it has to come from here, a Madhyamam has to come in from here, so on and so forth. So his logic for the speed at which he was singing the brigais and the clarity with which he was singing was that once you create that muscle memory of where each note has to come, whether you're singing it at 80 BPM or 160 BPM, your point of origin as far as that particular note is going to be the same, and hence you'll be able to hit the note every time you try and sing that. So I think the kind of research that's gone into all this is mind-boggling.
Amazing. So your fusion band, Anubhuti, explores bhava, bhakti and rasa of Indian classical music as you bring in guitar, the piano and the Western drums along with the Mridangam. So I'm not going to ask why you chose the name or who are your key artists for lack of time, but I'm going to ask you, what are the venues that you feel gave you a great reception for Anubhuti?
Yeah, so I know the two of us, we start talking, it's hard to control us. Thanks for being polite with us.
Yeah, but Nami Gange was certainly a project that needed to be dwelt on.
So yeah, so Anubhuti, to stick to the question that you asked, the very first time it was brought to a large stage. Until then, we were doing programs here and there, a little bit private functions and all that. But during the November Fest that the Hindu used to do in Chennai, during November, obviously, and there were this group of singers from Pakistan who had to cancel their tickets in the last moment, and they called us up and said, "Would you guys like to perform?" We said, "Okay, fine, no problem." And at the time, both of us were working, so from our offices, with 1 hour notice, we just landed up at Academy and frantically called up Navneet, Vedant. Obviously, Appa is on the Mridangam, and we had Sridhar on the drums for that concert. And sound check was done in 20 minutes. It's unimaginable. And but the way we enjoyed ourselves on that night, it was amazing. And one of the videos that was captured during that concert is still one of the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel, Harivarasanam, which we rendered during this November Fest, and Pivare Ramarasam. It's still one of the most viewed videos on our channel. So yeah, that's the...
So while on this fusion, I also will bring in the Jugalbandi aspect with Hindustani musicians. Do you think there's a challenge when you sing with a Hindustani musician? You sing the same ragam, Mohanam, Bhoop, Shuddha Saveri, Durga, Hindolam, Malcounts. Still, there is a certain approach difference. So does that kind of, make you a little shaky, or do you think it's a challenge, or do you think it's a challenge in the positive sense that it gears you up to do better?
You want to take it, Ramkumar?
Yeah, so I think in terms of Jugalbandis, we've, I think, done just about 3 or 4 Jugalbandis, mainly with Jayatit Mewundi ji and Rakesh Chaurasiya on one occasion, and Jayatit Mewundi ji and Mandolin Rajesh on another occasion. So, see, I think it was great fun working with them. But like you said, there are certain points where we will have to limit um, the otherwise free-flowing expressions that we have. But overall, what we try and do is because of our because of our exposure to school choirs and singing with them and doing this part singing, and even between me and Sri Krishna, there are sometimes when we sing ragas and all that, I really don't know what he's going to sing, but because of years of practice, that communication automatically happens. So within there is, of course, if it was a Carnatic concert, then we'd possibly be putting the list down, but not going into the specifics of how we are going to elaborate a raga to a great extent. In a Jugalbandi, you'll have to do that upfront and clearly determine where the other person is going to come in, where the other person is going to zoom out, and things like that. So to that extent, there is a little bit of a challenge, but overall, the fun, the experience that it brings on stage. Oh, of course, we also did a Jugalbandi once with one of the most interesting Jugalbandis that we've done is with Ustad Ghulam Mustafa Khan ji and his sons. So they are basically the Sufi singers, and that's their style. So there it was very, very different because they had a kriti that they had there's this very famous Avo Balma, a Hindi song that they're very, very well known for. So we had to basically learn a part of that song, but then we tried and brought a differentiation in terms of the way we were singing the swaras with a little bit of the typical Kalyani coming in, and they get back into that Yaman Kalyan.
So one of the other things is that I mean, it's a great learning experience because when we tried singing Pantuvarali once with Jaitir ji, and we said, why don't we sustain on da and sing for some time? So he said it's not allowed in their system, that they cannot stop on da. Yes, for Pantuvarali, for his gharana.
Right? We sing on it.
Yeah.
அந்த தாவை நம்ம வந்து அசிச்சு திருப்பே பாடுவோம்.
ஆமா. So அவகிட்ட நான் சொன்னோம் தால கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் பண்ணலாமா கேட்டப்ப said no, da is not allowed. So such things you learn from them, as in I mean you learn from what is their system. And honestly, the one thing I really look forward to in a Jugalbandi, Hindustani Jugalbandi, is we love singing with the harmonium, and it's an amazing feeling. And to be very honest, this Margadi season we are trying to do one concert with harmonium. So we are still working on the logistics, but yeah, that's an experience I always look forward to. And
look forward
again, the sarangi. The sarangi is also such a beautiful instrument with its sympathetic strings and all that. So it gives that real
and the challenges I feel are very, very mutual, because some of our sangatis is like what we call this Katri Brigas, right? This is very unique to Carnatic music. And nammaloda thalam progression is very unique to us.
But see, Jugalbandiன்ற aspect வந்து நாம நம்மளத பாடி அவளத பாடி அந்த தனித்துவம் தான முக்கியம். That individual expression is so important.
Right.
So I think we don't need to really, ape their music, or they don't need to sing up with us. So I like that. Now we're going to get to another point, which is actually something relevant to your style and your stage. நீங்க ரெண்டு பேர் பாடுறீங்க இல்லையா? இப்ப நான் ஒருத்தி பாடுறச்சே, I suppose I plan something for the concert and I go and I find that the ambience, that the audience is different, that they will not be able to probably absorb what I have planned. I completely change the entire format. So what happens in your case when you're both there? I mean, you can't be talking with each other after every song. So how do you manage that kind of a situation?
So the simple answer is we are on the same page. Because whatever he learns, I learn it. Whatever I learn, he learns. So in the sense, like if he learns a new Kirtanam, within a day, he will WhatsApp the song saying, hey, this is a new Kirtanam I've learned. Be ready within the next 2 days. We'll do any corrections. So in terms of Kirtanam's compositions, we are on the same page. And we are also well aware of what the other person doesn't know. So we'll never take a chance by, doing something which the other person is yet to learn or practice.
Yeah, and
so I think I don't want to leave this point. So you said the other person. Okay, now when we're talking of that, between both of you, I'm sure each one has an advantage, a different kind of an advantage. So do you trespass on that, or do you allow yourself to exploit that advantage? இப்போ ஒருத்தருக்கு வந்து சில பேஸ்ல வந்து நல்ல குரல் வளம் நல்லா இருக்கும். ஸ்வர பிரஸ்தாரம் வந்து ஒருத்தர் வந்து ஒரு சில ராகங்கள்ல வந்து பிரமாதமா போடும். அந்த விட்டு கொடுத்தல் வந்து உங்ககிட்ட உண்டா இல்ல சண்டை போட்டுப்பீங்களா?
அங்க டு பி ஆனஸ்ட் சண்டை போடுறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பே இல்லை. ஏன்னா like for example the way Ram's voice behaves when he does the mantra sthai, I actually go into a trance. So
when I heard one concert, I really felt you were like a Drupad singer, the bass. Right. It was so beautiful, that area you were exploring, and it's really sounded very good. And you were coming like in harmony or something like that.
Right. So I think to a great extent, what sometimes happens is rather, I think the strong points that we have actually come out even better when we sing with each other. Because naga paadradile vande there are a lot of ragams, for example, rakti ragams, where sometimes I come in as playing slightly more of a supporting role, because there what happens is if both of us start giving that same rakti and brigais and all that, it will become too much for the audience. So that, depending on the particular day, we don't even discuss. On the stage, it just automatically happens. Sometimes we just start with one person just humming the ragam and quickly moving on to the kriti. And with Tanam, again, we've actually found that there were even 4-5 years back when we used to do Tanam or Swaras, that part of, unlike the ragas where we still, build the entire ragam together, the Tanam and Swaras, we used to do it still individually. But now in the last 2 years, what's now happening is even the Swaras, even the Tanams, everything has now started. So for example, when I do something like if I'm doing a Hamsadhwani and I do when I do something like that, Sri Krishna will actually be doing something like it will go something like that, where even we don't know what the other person is going to sing, but the understanding that's somehow developed over years of practice is so much that there will never be, or hardly ever, a situation where, for example, I'll be doing a Rishabham and he'll be doing a Gandharam, which will create a clash. So to that extent, we understand, the biggest strength that we have as duo singers is the fact that we are duo singers.
In fact, some very senior violin Vidwans who played for us, who blessed us on the stage, they sometimes come and tell us, anyway, when he's singing, you're supporting him, and when you're singing, he's supporting him. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But the violinists also have played us for so many concerts now that there are parts where, for example, we've had situations where I do the male shajam, Sri Krishna does the panchamam, and the violin comes in with the gandharam. So in the Mari combinations, a lot of them start working out. Even when we're doing Tanam, sometimes on the string based or staccato based, the violin will go with something of that sort will keep going on, which kind of brings a very different experience. And
also, I guess, sorry, I'll just go ahead to this one point. It's a great blessing that we have to have that kind of a wavelength, because I remember when we did the Nami Gange song, which we knew was going to become a national, it's going to be covered across the nation. And there is one place where one of us had to sing a ragam, with the transition from the Pallavi to Anupallavi. And the initial scratch recording, I did that alap. And I was feeling very delicate. I said, Ramkumar, this is such a massive production. Everything we do here has to be together. But he said, what? Hey, it doesn't matter who sings. End of the day, it's Trichur Brothers. And the way it has come out there, I don't want to disturb that. So honestly, I've never told him this, but that was a lesson for me. I said, hey, if this is the attitude, then I must really learn from that.
Yappa, I think we should have these calls every day. Sri Krishna giving me compliments.
We've got this on Expressions Espresso. It's come to stay now. You can threaten him with a gun anytime. He goes off that. So what do you think is the importance of grammar? இப்போ வந்து கர்நாடக சங்கீதம் நம்ம பேசிச்சு, we always talk of the grammar of a raga. ஒரு ஆரோணம் இப்படிதான் போனோம், அந்த தெய்வத்தை அங்க வரக்கூடாது, ஒரு ஆந்தோலிக்கான பனிதமா அப்படின்னு வரணும். How do you think the importance can be held on to? Is it very important, or இடத்துக்கு வரணும், சமத்துக்கு வரணும், 4 கலை பாடினாலும் சமத்துக்கு தான் வரணும்?
எதுக்கு இப்படி மாத்தி விடுறீங்க எங்களை?
Let's say it's a discussion in public. நான் இந்த கேள்வி உங்ககிட்ட தனிச்சும் கேட்டிருப்பேன். பட் இப்போ வந்து எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியட்டுமே, I mean, how important it is, or do we deviate from it at some point of time?
So for me, like what we define as grammar is, I think it's still not clear, because there are kirtanams sung by Jambavans, okay, where if you put it under the test of a grammatical litmus paper, somebody might come and say, what, hey, that re should not have come, that especially that gamakam should not have happened, but then they have made that kriti immortal. And
importance பேசுறீங்க இல்லையா, aesthetica totality வந்து it just comes.
Exactly. And can I don't know if I'm fair to say if it's fair to say this, but I really honestly believe for people who have attained the stature of a Shammagudi Mama or an MLB Amma or a TN Seshugopalan sir or yourself, who have attained that stature, they are so involved in their music that what comes out of them is from a different source, to be very honest. It really transcends those barriers. So for me, my grammar, if I say I have to adhere to a grammar, is what all the great Vidwans have left us with.
Well, I believe in something similar. The only point I want to make is, as long as the breaking of grammar, or what is, like for example, like you were mentioning Panidama, as long as the breaking of the grammar is not to create like an applause, or to, in order to do something different, I should do this. As long as that is not the thought process, I believe end of the day, beyond the point, it's very important to let the raga take you over. And beyond that, like Sri Krishna, you used to mention, that I forgot who quoted this, but they used to say that when you don't get a particular ragam right, at some point of time, you just need to not come in the way of the raga devata and stop. I remember you mentioning this.
No, it's actually Lalgudi sir. Lalgudi sir, when we met him many years ago, Naga Chennai vanda time, he was talking to us and he said, see, if you're practicing a ragam and if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't happen, please don't fight with the raga. I mean, this is what he told us. That don't fight with the ragam. Take your time, you come back to it after a month. Maybe at that time the raga might help you. And one quote, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and one of the sentences in that book, I find it legendary, is that the wand chooses the wizard. I'm not sure if you've read Harry Potter,
yes,
but I always feel the raga chooses us. And it's not, I find very delicate when somebody says, hey, you handle the raga so well. I think the raga handles us with all humility and fairness.
Harry Potter ride வந்து Disney World இப்ப ஞாபகம் வருது. So mind boggling. Wow. அந்த ரைட் முடிஞ்ச அப்புறம் தொண்டியே இல்ல, என்ன அவ்வளவு கட்டி
You went for the one where there was this dragon shooting out fire and all that, right? Where you have to sit on.
Yes.
Oh, so beautiful. I mean, amazing.
It goes into darkness, and then all the castles come, and
yes,
all these dragon, அது ஒரு தனி experience. I think one really has to live that experience. So I'm going to go on to the questions from audience now. Okay, Ram Z Academy, he says, Namaskaram, in an online mode, how does a guru pick a student to be a trendsetter of one's Bani? Does online mode help the guru see the student in all his transparency? That's what he means. அதாவது நம்ம நிறைய பேர் சொல்லி கொடுக்குறோம் இல்லையா, அந்த இவாதான் வந்து நம்ம பாணிக்கு ஒரு லெகசியை கேரி பண்ணக்கூடியவா அப்படின்னு நீங்க எப்படி கண்டுபிடிப்பேன்னு கேட்கறேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
I think it's very straightforward, to be honest, because online or in person, the moment you hear,
Yes.
I mean, once your ears are trained, the moment you hear somebody singing, you know whether they're practicing, whether they're putting their everything into it. So in fact, in TBOSM, we have identified students who we keep telling them, that we have to get into the next level and give you advanced training. So I think it's very straightforward.
Right. ஒரு லைன் பாடினோடனே நமக்கு தெரிஞ்சிடும் இல்லையா என்ன எவ்வளவு தூரம் இவ வளர முடியும் அப்படின்ற ஒரு மனசுக்குள்ள ஒரு விஷயம்.
And one more thing I think is in the whole concept of Bani itself, for example, it's kind of got a little bit diluted with the kind of material that is available today for everybody to access. So for example, without flattering, I'm not flattering, but I think it is very difficult for us to, for example, sing an Om Namo Narayana without bringing in a little bit of your style on it. Because we've heard and grown listening to it. So, அந்த ஒரு ஸ்டைல் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காவே அது அந்த ஒரு கிருத்தியில வரும். அது மாதிரி ஒரு மாறு பல்கா பாடித்தனா at some point of time you will get that Chemugudi Mama's and you try to create that impact somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, now you spend a lot of time preparing yourself for the concert on stage. You know what I mean? You spend a lot of time with the acoustic system and ஒரு அந்த மைக் கரெக்டா வர வரைக்கும் விட மாட்டேன்னு கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கேன் நான்.
நன்மைக்காக.
What's your take on that?
So I mean it's fundamental if you ask me, because you have the facility of a mic and you might as well make the best of it. And I think one of the most important reasons the two of us especially take care of that is because we truly believe that a good sound system will prove extremely healthy in the long term to safeguard the voice. Because more often than not, what we've realized is when the sound system is not great, that's when we end up straining the voice. And the whole affair, after 3 hours of Carnatic music, we should walk out as better human beings. The audience must walk out as better human beings. And for that to happen, the tone of the music is very important. And if you're going to blast it and you don't know what's happening and it's a complete chaos, then what's the point?
Yeah, and like we were also mentioning, and we've actually written a couple of blogs about it, because every time we take a little bit of extra time, there's this question. So we've actually given up using the feedback monitors for the last 5 years, because in a number of locations, sometimes what happens is you have all of 30 to 40 minutes. And within that, you have to make sure your feedback is okay. You have to make sure that the mix is okay. The tonality of the feedback monitors are typically very different from what is heard outside. So in that meantime, you again have to go outside, and most of the sound checks happen without the audience and with the curtains closed. Now, what happens when the curtain opens up and the audience coming in, the earlier levels take a dip. And suddenly you don't know why you sounded like that. So a couple of points that we've been saying is, in some locations, we've actually encouraged audience to be there even for the sound check. So for the 45 minutes, if audience are there, we tell them, don't hold them outside. Let them come inside. Let them see what is happening during a sound check, so that they understand what a musician tries to attain by, getting the sound check. And we've also been trying to keep the overall general levels of volumes in a Carnatic music concert slightly lower to begin with, and then increase as it is needed. So we've had situations where, sometimes when we put the volumes level so that the subtleties can be clearly heard, all the instruments can be heard, there's no extra echo coming in from the hall. We've had sometimes the first song that we sing, or the kriti that we sing, you will typically have somebody getting up and saying, I'm not able to hear. So in a couple of concerts, we've actually done this as a social experiment where they've told them, you're so used to listening to it very loud, just give it a couple of songs. And after that, if you tell us that you're not able to hear, we'll give you the control of the sound system. You can come and increase the volume. And in 90 out of 100 cases, we've had them actually standing up and saying, no, it's perfect right now, don't change anything. Because the vocalist,
in fact, the warm-up, this truly happened. This truly happened a couple of years ago.
Wait. Sri Krishna.
So I was just going to say that
I'm going to be
the
like a
voice,
teacher now. You. See, Krishna.
so the voice, the instrumentalist, all of them also get warmed up. So there will be automatically a 15 to 20% dB increase once they move on to the second and the third Kriti. Yeah, I'm done.
Correct.
Right.
Now, Sri
Right.
Krishna, please.
Actually, this happened 2 years ago in our own Chennai, in our own Margari season for Tamil Ishay Sangam. So on the concert Minadi, we had 10 minutes to prepare the mic. And this truly happened. And the sound engineer walked up to us and said, "Sir, we have only 10 minutes. Can we do the feedback monitors first or the PA system?" We said, "Sir, we don't want the feedback monitors. We want only the PA." Honestly, he started crying. He started crying. He said, "You have no idea how happy I am." So,
Ananda Kanneer.
Ama.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've crossed 75 minutes of talking. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Oh my God.
Questions, shorter answers, more fun side.
Okay.
Seriya, what is your biggest stress buster? Is it different for both of you?
I mean, இது யார் கேக்குறேன், நானா ராம்குமாரா?
Both.
எப்படி வேணாலும் நீங்க answer பண்ணலாம். நீங்க ஒருத்தருக்கு ஒருத்தர்.
Okay, I'll go
Biggest
first.
stress-
உங்களுக்கு ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் பஸ்டர் வேறையா இருக்கலாம், அவருக்கு வேறையா இருக்கலாம்ல.
Yeah. Very true.
So you want to go first or should I?
I mean, for me, stress buster nowadays is meeting people.
Okay. For me, it's always been sports. I play a lot of cricket and badminton. And in fact, during the COVID times, because it was because of the social rules and all that, you were supposed to be away from people. I got into an academy here and I play like 30 overs of cricket every morning with the
Hey,
bowling machine. so
short
that I can
answer,
be-
man.
It's okay. So,
He wants to show off.
You know what?
Cricket,
I have to warn you guys. This guy starts talking about cricket, especially his batting. You have no idea how many trips in the car. I start driving with him and he'll say, "Hey, yesterday I scored 35 runs. Offside, 3 shots, leg side, the whole summary." My goodness me, please don't get him started.
Wow, who else can be show off? His brother. What's your
So for me,
favorite
it's sports.
cuisine?
It's
What's your
sports
favorite?
any day.
From sports to cuisine.
Italian for me.
South Indian.
Oh, totally different. Wow. So,
Yeah,
என்ன
but I
பண்ணுவேன்,
have
இப்போ
to-
வந்து suppose US organizer வந்து கச்சேரி முடிஞ்ச அப்புறம் let's go for dinner. எங்க போலாம் அப்படின்னா நீங்க வந்து சவுத் இந்தியன்னா நீங்க வந்து இட்டாலியன் குசின்னா என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க?
So I'm the guy who finally lets go. I'll have to let go because
You're a saint, Sri Krishna.
Yeah. Absolutely. He can also make up stories on the go.
In the program,
No, but I have to qualify. Even if I have it, obviously vegetarian, but even if I have to have Italian, it needs to be wrapped up with some comfort food, which is the curd rice. So I'll have at least 1 spoon of curd rice, even if I have a pizza or pasta or whatever. I have to come back home and still have that 1 spoon of curd rice.
Okay. So when you pack your bags for an impromptu vacation, what would be your choice? Hill, beach, religious pilgrimage, jungle, mountaineering? What is it?
can I say Trichur? I love Trichur.
So sweet.
I just love Trichur. So the slightest opportunity I head off.
For me, beach, because that's the only option here where, I'm assuming that it'll be, I like the place hot and sunny. So if I have to name a place that I really like to be in, it's San Diego, because the weather is always, warm, and I really cannot, stand rain, except if my plan for the day is to sleep the whole day. So even on a concert day, if it starts raining, I'm like,
Can
why?
you imagine a boy who has grown up in Trichur saying this? That he doesn't like rains.
Guruvayurappa, yaar unni solra theriyale. Okay, one of the best feedback that you've had and one of the harshest feedback that you've had.
Best feedback, I don't remember here.
Ramkumar, best feedback உங்களுக்கு கண்டிப்பா ஞாபகம் இருக்கணுமே.
Yeah, and definitely, because best feedback, it wasn't in terms of the content of the concert itself, but we used to be quite notorious in school. So we did this concert
Exactly, I was going to ask that. we are.
Now, I will tell you that story later, but he looks very deceiving. But the truth is, okay. So I used to be pretty, not the best student. Let me put it that way. I wasn't very bad or anything, but I wasn't the best student. So after the whole thing was done, after school, college, etc., after CA was done, there was this annual event in school for which our principal had invited us to give us what is called the Guru Dakshina Award. So we had to have a concert on that occasion as well. So after the concert, when she came and told us, how you guys have behaved when you were kids, and no one expected you to get into a position where you've also, completed your academic qualification and gone full time into music. That easily would be the, I wouldn't say feedback, but the best comment that we've heard after a concert.
Harshest, if I'm not coming across arrogant, honestly, I think it's the same for him too. We're kind of chilled out about what people say about our concerts, and whether it's good or bad really doesn't. Honestly, that doesn't make me happy or sad, as long as we've enjoyed the event, And
right.
But yes, there was this concert where in a particular place where after 3 hours of concert, which we thoroughly enjoyed. And as we walked out, one gentleman came up and said, "Hey, you did not sing at even one kirtanam in this language, and you did not do Neraval at all for 3 hours." So I just told him, we just went with the flow, sir. So kindly excuse us.
Sweet. That's good to have that bit of patience. And that ஒரு பணிஞ்சு போறது நல்லதுதான் இல்லையா? I mean, what is the point in crossing swords with them? So
yeah, I think Appa has inculcated that value in us most definitely, because he's one person. He's actually short-tempered. Not many people know that, but he is. But he would never ever lose his calm in public. That's a trait we have really really adopted from him. We try to be there.
Now, if I gave you a whole day to do what you want to do, Ramkumar, don't say cricket now. What would you do?
You're giving me a whole day.
The answer should not be music.
Interesting. I'll take off with family. Go for a long drive.
For me, I think I really like driving a lot. But my wife Rama, she is more like, she wants to basically chill and not even sometimes take the effort of driving. She'd rather, go to the next street which is like a 5 or 7 star hotel and just be in the room ordering food from inside and spending time. No, she's proud of what she does, by the way. She doesn't have any qualms about it. And so apart, because I also travel so much now, I've come to terms with the fact that a vacation, and I agree with her, because we're also traveling so much. So a vacation, we'd rather, go to a nice, good restaurant nearby and just chill and get back.
Correct. So do you have a bucket list? இதெல்லாம் பண்ணணும், இதுலயும் மியூசிக் வரக்கூடாது.
First 3 bucket list is 1 cricket match in Melbourne, and 1 club football in Europe. And this is not a bucket list. It's something which should be possible very soon. But we are waiting to have darshanam in Ayodhya very soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
For me, 1 and 3 would definitely be on the bucket list. 2, I'm not a very big fan of football. So I'd kind of replace that with, I've been a huge fan of, the world wrestling, the wrestling that used to happen. We all know it's drama and all that. We don't believe the Undertaker has 7 lives and can come back every time. But I really want to go to Madison Square Garden and witness one of these WWE now, and it's taken so many turns now. So that's something that I really want to do.
So do you listen to film music?
Of course.
Oh, yes.
A lot.
What is the song that you hum? Each one must be humming a different song.
You
walking, you have a bath, whatever.
My son complains that every time I hum this, whenever I'm caught off guard, and bahut pyar karte hain tumko sanam. I don't know, it's an old song, but I just love the song.
I mean, I kind of hum all kinds of songs. Sometimes
that's the top of the list.
Padagali is there, but I think I go something like Toda Toda Malarndadena Poove Tottavanai Marandadena. That song keeps running in my mind at all points of time. But the way it's been sung, it's so beautifully sung by
the way it's been sung, right?
Yeah.
So emotional, really.
Correct.
So we come to the end of the program. What would you like to tell your Rasikas who've been tuned to this program?
Stay safe. Politically, first, let me put this across. You guys have to stay safe. As Sudha ji advised us a couple of days ago when we did a trial run, checking out the connections. She said, "You guys are on a tour, but don't take anything for granted. Be very careful." I think that rule applies to everybody out there. So stay safe, and let's all pray that India wins the Asia Cup.
Right. So thanks a lot, all of you, for being a part of this event. We really enjoyed being here, and we're going to be following this event when the next one comes in as well, because it gives you a side of the musicians that you've really not, or people in other fields that you've really not seen beyond the performance arena. So keep watching that, and we are set to tour the US from September 13th to November. Details are available on our social media pages. We'd love to meet you all there. And like Sri Krishna rightly mentioned, please be safe. Safety comes first. Please do take care and keep smiling.
I'm just going to add one more thing to this. Can I? Yeah, we have to tell you that, Sudhaji is one of those personalities we've looked up from a very young age. And it's amazing how she can make us feel so comfortable. It's like talking to a next door friend, which calls. I think that's an amazing quality which we are going to really learn from you. And also the kind of sessions that you've done in this series. There are unbelievable takeaways. We both of us keenly listened to Seshogopalan sir session, the one you did with Hariharan sir, Shankar Mahadevan sir, and A.R. Rahman ji, and a lot of other chat shows. There is so much of takeaway which we've actually started implementing in our practice. So thank you so much for making this happen.
Thank you, Trichur Brothers, Sri Krishna and Ram Kumar, for this delightful evening. Especially on the eve of Vinayaka Chaturthi, it's so fresh. I mean, it's like a breath of fresh air when you meet our own fraternity outside of the performance arena, right? Sandoshama irukku, yeah? I mean, of course, Sandosham, but at least online paaka mudiyirde. I mean, you're able to talk of things other than just music and kirtane and ragam and talam. So it was a wonderful interaction, and of course, it's just the right time to wish you all the very best for your US tour. Be safe and come back with laurels. Enjoy yourself besides music. Have fun. Go on the Harry Potter ride.
Ganapati Papa Moria. Ganapati Papa Moria.
Ganapati Papa Moria. Yes. So thank you very much, and hope to see you all at some dinner or an evening out.
Absolutely.
Looking forward.
We will do a combination of South Indian and Italian. Thank you. Thank you.
Come on, but see, you can be on speakers. You like Italian, do you?
Of course. The first opportunity when I step out is pizza.
Same. There you go. Amazing. So we know where to go. We're going to go to an Italian restaurant and pack some curd rice also.
Super. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Bye. So, they seem to be so focused, dedicated, and passionate at a young age. I'm sure both of them will create their own path of music and enjoy themselves swimming in the ocean, in the sagara of music. So let's wish them all the very best. As they said, the more we interact with celebrities and the young minds, we get to learn a different side, a different dimension of them. And there's so much takeaway from each conversation, right? So it's good learning for us, coming back to us while the world is showing all positive signs of returning to normalcy. Let us not let our guards down. Ensure all vaccinations are done. Please carry your masks, especially when you're in a crowd. And what else? See you at the next episode of Expressions Espresso. Till then, wish you happy festival of our dear, dear Lord Ganesha, and may he bless us all, protect us from hurdles, challenges. Ta-da for now.